Hello, hello, hello. It's Thursday. So to start off, while everyone gets in here, I figured I will show you a little game that I really like. Maybe you saw my post a few days ago. This is a game called Love Letter, 情书. And I really love this game. It's a very simple card game, but it has a lot of depth. There's a lot of strategy to it. So the game has 16 cards. That's it, only 16. And what you want to do is you want to give a love letter to the princess. And so at the end of the game, if you have the princess, that means you give her your love letter and then you win. And maybe you can't get it to the princess, so you can get it to her close friend, the countess. And then further and further and further away from the princess until it's the guard. So in this game, there are 16 cards, and that sounds really simple, but each one has a different ability. The princess is the best card at the end, but she has the weakest ability. And so, because each card has a different thing it can do, it ends up being really interesting, and there's a lot of strategy. So if you get a chance, try out Love Letter with your friends. It's a lot of fun. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the chat. So today I set up so the chat window is over here. So if I'm looking like that, I'm looking at the chat, okay? That way I can have my notes in front and make it easier. So lesson 2, you run into your old classmate on the subway platform, right? And oh my gosh, he has a chance to go on a date. Ooh, sounds good, right? And then you tell an old story of one of your dates. And things went pretty well this time, right? You had your positive personality, went on a fun date. Things didn't go perfect, but if you're in a good mood, things go well, right? You're making pizza. So if you are going out on a date, I would recommend trying something like this. So going to somewhere like a pizza making class or a cake making class, some activity, right? If you're going on a first date, I would say never go to see a movie, right? Because if you're at a movie theater, you sit, watch the movie, but you don't actually talk to the person, right? It's like watching a movie by yourself. It's the same. So if you're going out on a date, choose a fun activity. A pizza making class might be awesome. I've actually never tried it before, but I know a few friends who've done pizza making, cake making. There are classes like that in Taipei, so you should try it yourself too, okay? So if you have any good date ideas, feel free to share it in the comments and let anyone know what your great ideas are. I mean, going to dinner and maybe to a bar to have a couple drinks is nice, but it's fun to have an activity too, right? Okay. Now, let's get started and get straight into our homework, okay? So we have lesson 2, conversation 1, part 2. The first sentence is, 你有没有时间跟我聊天? And I translate this as, do you have time to chat? So this is the most natural for me. Do you have time to chat? You could also say, have you got time to chat? So both of these are okay. Oh, by the way, I left the answers in the comments for the lessons already. I did it before the stream because a student asked me last week if I could do it before. That way you can check your answers while we're talking about the answers, okay? So do you have time to chat? Or have you got time to chat? So I say, do you have time to chat? Some of you said chat with me. So do you have time to chat with me? That's okay too. But you don't need the words with me. That you don't need it. Just do you have time to chat is good enough because I know it's with you, right? Also, do you have time to chat? So we need the word to in here. Some of you left out the word to, okay? Also, I think chat is the best translation for 聊天. If you say, do you have time to talk with me? It sounds a little bit more serious. Maybe your boss would come to you and say, do you have time to talk? There's a problem with your report. Ooh, that sounds bad, right? But chat sounds more friendly and low pressure. Time to talk sounds a little more serious, okay? And you could say, do you have time to talk with me? But it sounds a little bit more serious. Talk with me, okay? I saw a couple of people say, talk to me. That would mean that I want you to talk to me. But talk with me means have a conversation, okay? Talk to me is tell me something, okay? And I said, do you have time to chat? You could also say, do you have any time to chat? That's great too. Meaning like, do you have extra time? And do you have is fine. Have you got is okay. And a little more formal might sound like, have you time to chat? But that's too formal. It would be, do you have time to chat, or have you got time to chat? I would say stick with do you have. It's a little more natural. Have you got might be more of British English, but American English we would just stick with do you have, okay? Now, second word, the second sentence says 他有一副好歌喉. Now, this was pretty good too. I would translate this as, she has a good voice. Okay? Keep it simple. She has a good voice. If you say a good voice, I know you're talking about her singing voice. You don't need to say singing voice, but you can. So you can also say, she has a good singing voice. Perfect. So singing voice is being more specific. But if you say she has a good voice, it is pretty clear you're talking about her singing voice. If you're just talking about the way someone speaks, you could say she has a nice sounding voice. But if you just say a good voice, it sounds like you're talking about her singing voice. So she has a good voice. She has a good singing voice. You could also say, if you want to use have got, you could say, she's got a good singing voice. She's got a good singing voice. Now remember, if you use has got, in American English, we use this a little bit less than just have or has. But if you do use has got, usually has is abbreviated to apostrophe S. She's got a good singing voice, okay? So, she has a good voice when she sings. That's okay, but you don't need the words when she sings, because the word voice, it tells me it's probably about her singing voice, okay? And then I saw a few people say she has got a good singing voice. Now, that's correct. She has got a good voice. But usually, like I said, we contract it, okay? And so you can also use many different adjectives for this. She has a good voice. She has a great voice. She has a wonderful voice. She has a nice voice. All of them are varying degrees of how good, right? I also saw someone say she has a good singing talent, or she has singing talent. So singing talent is okay, but the meaning is a little bit different than voice. Talent is like she has skill at it, or she's good at it. We're talking about the sound of her voice. So she has singing talent would be enough. You don't need good, you don't need a. So she has singing talent. That's okay too. But it sounds a little bit more formal. Maybe a music teacher might say that. I saw a few people say she has a good throat for singing or something like that. Now, throat means this part of your neck, but we're focusing on the sound. So make sure you're talking about the sound, not her throat. Yeah, so she has a good throat, meaning that her throat doesn't hurt, okay? Also, be careful, it should be she has with an S. He, she, it. We want that S sound. She has a good singing voice, not she have. So be careful of that, Okay? But everyone did a great job of that one. That was pretty good. Now, let's move on to the next one about our friend Bob. We haven't seen Bob in a little while, but maybe you'll see him again. Okay. And this sentence is 我感觉 Bob 很有耐心. And so this one is a little bit tricky because the word 耐心 has a few different ways to translate it. In Chinese, it's just one word, right? But in English, you can change it based on what kind of word it is. So I translate this as, I think Bob has a lot of patience. We're using has. So I think Bob has a lot of patience. Patience with a CE at the end is a noun. If we don't want to use has, we want to describe Bob, we can say, I think Bob is really patient. Patient with a T. Patient. So patience is a noun. Patient is an adjective. So you could say either one. He has patience or he is patient. Okay? Just be careful. You need to use the right one in the right situation. Has patience, is patient. Okay? And that T sound is very light. Okay? So I translate 我感觉 to I think. In English, generally, we would say I think blah, 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 blah. Using I feel is not wrong, but it's a little bit more natural to say I think. So be careful. The difference between Chinese and English, it can be a little bit tricky, right? Well, I'm saying everything is tricky again. So it's a feeling, but usually in English, we'd say I think. So I think Bob has a lot of patience. You could also say I feel Bob has a lot of patience, but most of the time people would say I think. Okay? Now remember, it's true, so we use the present tense. I think. I saw a few people say I felt. I felt Bob has a lot of patience. That would be in the past. If it's true and it's true now, we'd say feel. Okay? So you could also say, I think Bob has got a lot of patience. That's okay. I think Bob's got a lot of patience. So with patience, if we use patience as a noun, we need to have the right kinds of words to say a lot of. I'd say a lot. You cannot say very patience because patience is a noun. Very describes an adjective. So you'd say he's very patient, but you cannot say he's very patient. Don't say that. And some people use plenty and much. He has much patience. That's okay, but it sounds a little bit formal. You could just say a lot. And then you could say Bob has plenty of patience. But plenty of, the meaning is a little bit different. That's like enough. Plenty and enough are very similar. Okay? I also saw someone say, I think Bob got patience. Now, people might say this speaking, but don't forget your has. Bob's got patience. You need that apostrophe S. Okay? Also, I saw Bob has good patience. Now, we don't say good patience. We'd say a lot of patience. Patience, we talk about how much patience they have, okay? Not if it's good or bad. We'd say how much patience. A lot of patience, okay? I saw people say Bob who has great patience or with great patience. Those are okay, but again, great patience, usually patience is how much patience he has. He has a lot or he has much patience. We don't usually use good patience or great patience. We talk about how much, okay? So pretty good, but a few small little things. The 感觉 to I think is probably the biggest tricky part. So in English, if you're thinking of a feeling, the first step is probably to say I think. So I think blah, blah, blah. It's what you're thinking. Okay? And feeling is like you're feeling happy or sad, usually. So something like this, we'd say I think, okay? Now, let's see if there are any questions. One question is, if I want to describe someone's voice is good enough to be like a broadcast host, can I use he has a good voice when talking about his voice? He has a good voice. Again, if you say he has a good voice, my first thought, the first thing I think of is his singing voice. Oh, he has a good voice. It sounds like you're talking about his singing voice. If you want to say he would be a great voice on the radio or a great broadcast host, I would say he has a nice sounding voice. So specifically, I don't know, it's hard to say, it's hard to explain, but if you just say a good voice, it makes me think of a singing voice. But if you say he has a great sounding voice, by putting the word sounding in it, it kind of changes, just you're focusing on the sound of his voice, not that he's singing. So that's why a good voice or a good singing voice, those go together. But a good sounding voice, because it's different than singing voice, it tells me you're just talking about his speech, okay? Or you could say he has, the sound of his voice is great, or the sound of his voice is nice, something like that, okay? Or the next sentence is, 我有事情要跟你说. Now this one was pretty straightforward, okay? I would translate this to, I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you, okay? Remember, tell means words coming from my mouth and going to you. I have something to tell you. I also translate this as, I've got something to tell you. Maybe I have some news. I have a surprise and I want to tell you something, okay? Now this one, most people got pretty much right, or very, very good. Now there are a few small things that we can discuss about the verb. I have something to tell you. Now the word tell, a few people use some different words, okay? A few people use talk. I have something to talk to you. Usually, if it's something, we want to use tell. Tell means I have information that I'm giving to you. I'm telling you something. Talk is like having a conversation. You could say, I want to talk to you. Talk meaning have that conversation. Or I want to speak to you. But in this, if we have something, we don't want to say, I have something to speak to you or I have something to talk to you. Don't use those. You should use tell because the information is going from me to you. Tell is that directional speech, okay? Talk is a conversation. Speak means the word, like I'm talking, but it's not focusing on what I'm saying, okay? Speaking is focusing on the sound of my voice, okay? So the difference is subtle, but here I'm telling you something. So we should use the verb tell, okay? Now let's move straight into the next lesson, part 2, okay? The first sentence is, 你一定要这样说话吗? Maybe someone is talking to you in maybe a not very polite way. So you could say this. In English, I would say, do you have to speak to me like this? Do you have to speak to me like this? Now you could also say, do you need to speak to me like this? So have to and need is the same, right? You could also say, using have got, you could say, have you got to say this? Have you got to speak to me like this? That's okay. But the most straightforward, keep it simple, is do you have to? Do you have to speak to me like this? And like we said before, and this came up one of the lessons before, the word speak. So if someone is speaking to you in a rude way or not very nice way, we want to use the word speak. Speak means they are talking to you. It's not telling you something, it's speaking, the sound of their voice, okay? And it's not talk. So talk would be we're having a conversation, but speak focuses on their words, okay? So do you have to speak to me like this? So use speak to focus on the sound of their voice. Tell means I'm telling you something, and then say is you're saying something also, okay? Yeah. Do you have to talk to me like this? This is more of a conversation. Speak would be focusing on their voice, okay? So I say, do you have to speak to me like this? You could also say, do you have to speak to me like that? If you're focusing on them speaking, they are speaking like that, okay? The way it's over there, they're over there, and so you have to, do you have to speak to me like that? Okay? You could also say, that way. Do you have to speak to me in that way? Or you could say, with that tone. All of these are okay. But like this is keeping it simple. Sometimes it's best to just keep it simple. Okay? Next up is a little bit similar. 你一定要相信我. So this is, the Chinese is very similar, but the English ends up pretty different, right? Because this time it's not a question. And so I would translate this in one of many ways. It depends on the situation, okay? Let's say I'm telling you something and it sounds kind of strange. You're like, what? Did that really happen? If it's that kind of thing, I might say, you have to believe me, okay? You have to believe me. You could also say, you've got to believe me. You've got to believe me. Okay? And this means you need to, right? You need to believe me. You have to believe me. Okay? And then another situation is maybe we are doing something and you're a little bit nervous. Maybe we're going to go on a roller coaster. And I say, it's going to be okay. You have to trust me. So this is a different situation, right? You have to trust me. You could also say, you've got to trust me. You've got to trust me. Now remember, if you want to use have got to, you should, well, what's the word? You should shorten the word. Oh my God, my brain's broken. You have should become you've. Make a contraction, that's the word. Oh, brain fart. So you've got to. It's very uncommon for someone to say, you have got to trust me. We'd say, you've got to. So the you have becomes you've. You have, it slows down your speech. So speaking faster, you can say, you've got to trust me. Okay? So like I said, there are two ways to think of this. In one situation, if I'm telling you something, I might say, you have to believe me. If we're doing something and you're a little bit nervous, I could say, you have to trust me, okay? So believe and trust are a little bit different, okay? And those are really the only big notes. Believe versus trust, and you have got, and you've got. So those are the only real things that people had to adjust. So believe or trust, depending on the situation. Both are okay, but in a situation, believe and trust mean slightly different things, okay? Now, next up is, 很晚了，我必须要先走了. Right? So you need to go. So I would translate this as, it's late, I have to go. You could also say, it's late, I've got to go. Okay? And then I've got to can be shortened even more. Very casually, you could say, it's late, I gotta go. Gotta is G-O-T-T-A, gotta. Gotta is a fast way to say I've got to. I gotta go. Okay? So this one, the big thing is you need to have two sentences in English. In Chinese, there's that comma, but in English, we need two sentences, two ideas. It's late, period. I have to go, period. Two ideas, so we have two sentences, okay? So here I would say it's late. If we're introducing a situation, we can start with it. It is late, it's late, okay? someone said time is late. This one doesn't really work. We should say it's late, okay? And then I said I have to go. Now, a few people said leave. So leave is okay too. I have to leave. I have to leave means go out of a place. But you can just use go, and I will understand that you mean go home, right? I have to go. I have to leave. So I saw a few people say I have to get off. Now, you should say get off work. Get off work means you're leaving work, but it wouldn't really fit in this situation. Get off work is used when you're talking to someone that's maybe not at work, or you're telling someone when it ends. So you'd say, I get off work at 8 o'clock or something like that. Maybe you're telling someone when you are leaving work. But if you're saying I'm leaving, like goodbye, you wouldn't say I have to get off. You wouldn't say that. You'd say I have to go or I have to leave. Okay? So I said it's late. You could also say it's pretty late or it's very late. Or some people said it's too late, but too late, that's okay, but it depends. Maybe that means you're really way past your usual time, right? It's too late. I have to go. Okay? Now, one tricky part is 先走了. So in Chinese, you would use the word 先, right? To mean I have to leave before you, right? But in English, we do not have this phrase. We don't use it. So some people said, I have to go early or I have to go first. Now you don't want to include that word, early or first. In English, we just say, I have to go, right? So you don't need to include that time word, okay? Yeah. If you add time, it starts to make it sound a little bit too much. Keep it simple. I have to go. Okay? Now, next up is 去美国有没有什么必吃的东西? So this one was pretty tricky. So we mix around the words from the Chinese and the English is mixed up quite a bit. So I translate this as, is there any food that I have to try in the US? You could also say, is there any food that I've got to try in the US? So, is there any food that I have to try in the US? So, one thing that's important, some people forgot to put a question mark, right? If there's a question, you need your question mark. Okay. And a lot of you use the word things. Is there anything I have to try in the US? But if you just use the word thing, then I don't know you're talking about food. The difference is, so in Chinese, you'd say 必吃, like you need to eat. But in English, it's usually we'd use try when we're talking about food. So some people used eat in their sentence, but I use try because when we're talking about an experience, you want to talk about trying the experience. Not just that, like, I'm eating something. So if you say, is there anything that I have to try in the US? That's too general. I might say, oh yeah, you need to go to a baseball game. That's a thing, right? But if we're talking about food, I would say, is there any food? Okay? If you use anything, then the verb would have to be eat. Is there anything I need to eat in the US? But we want to use try because that's a little bit better. It's an experience, okay? I also saw someone use must eat. Is there any must eat food in the US? Must-eat. That's excellent. So 必吃 can translate to must eat. So is there any must eat food? It sounds a little bit more formal. Maybe you'd see it in an article or a video. When speaking, we probably wouldn't use the words must eat. That's an adjective describing food. Must eat food, okay? It's good, but it sounds a little bit formal. In spoken English, we would just say, is there any food I have to try in the US? Like, if I go to Japan, is there any food that I have to try? So something like that. You can mix it up, okay? I also saw people say when I visit the US. That's perfect too. That's okay. So I use the phrase the US. US meaning the United States. So US could also be America. But I would recommend using US because it's more specific. If you say America, some people will think you mean all of the Americas, maybe North America and South America. It's not as specific. Yes, people in America always say America to talk about the USA, but when you're outside of America, outside of the USA, it's nice to use US, okay? Some people also wrote the USA. That's okay. In writing, it's fine to write the USA. In speaking, we wouldn't often say, when I go to the USA. We'd say, go to the US. Someone also write the States. So a quick way to say USA is to say the States, and that's a good one too. So I say that a lot, like, oh, I'm going back to the States at Christmas time, something like that, okay? I also saw someone say that, is there any food that I've to eat in the US? So contraction before to eat. Now be careful. If we're meaning need, have to meaning need, we cannot contract it, or we do not contract it. So don't say I've to eat. That sounds a little bit too difficult to say. So we'd say I have to eat. When it have to means need, we don't contract it to I've. Okay? Some people in Britain might do this once in a while, but in America, we don't really do that. The United States, we say, I have to, okay? We would not say, I've to do something, okay? Another detail is something versus anything. Is there anything that I have to try eating in the US? Is there any food? Some people also use something. Something is okay, but anything just means, like, I don't know. It could be yes or no, right? Something, you think the answer might be yes. Anything, it could be yes or no, right? We practice that together. So yeah, and then we talked about the difference between try versus eat versus you should not say try to eat. So is there any food I have to try? Is there any food I should eat in the US? But don't say, is there any food I have to try to eat? Try to eat sounds like the action. You're trying the action. Maybe it's difficult to eat that thing, or maybe it's scary to eat. So you're trying to eat it. Maybe you fail to eat it. So don't say try to eat. Either say try or just eat, okay? But don't say try to eat. It sounds like you're trying to eat it and oh, I failed. Okay? One question from Sarah says, do you say, are you taking off when you see a colleague packing up and getting ready to go? Yes, you can say taking off. Taking off can also mean leaving. I'm going, I'm leaving, I'm taking off. So I could say, I'm taking off. Or you could ask someone, are you taking off? That means, are you going home? Are you leaving? Okay, very good question. Yeah, taking off is a good way. It sounds a little more casual than I have to go. It's late, I'm taking off is like, I'll see you later. If you say, I have to go, it sounds like you need to. Okay? Okay. Next up is, 我应该跟他说实话吗? This one, everyone did a great job. So I translate this to, should I tell her the truth? Should I tell her the truth? So here, should is it a good idea? Is it the right thing to do? Okay? So the truth means the real things, the real situation, right? So I use tell her because you're telling her something, telling her the truth. Okay? So tell her the truth. So some people wrote, should I tell the truth to her? That's okay, but usually we'd say tell someone something. So tell her the truth. You can say tell something to someone. tell the truth to her. That's okay too, but it's simpler if you do tell her the truth, okay? And then be careful. 她 in Chinese does not have a gender. It doesn't tell you if it's a boy or girl when you listen, but if you are careful and read the characters, this 她 is a girl. So in English, you need to be careful. 她 could be him or her. Here, it's her. So should I tell her the truth? Okay? So not too many changes for that one. Okay? Next up is 我一定要每天洗头吗? This one is a little bit tricky because in Chinese you say 洗头. In English, we would never say wash my head. You wouldn't say wash my head. You'd say wash my face or wash my hair. Here we mean wash your hair, right? Okay? So in English, I would translate this to, do I have to wash my hair every day? Do I have to wash my hair every day? So maybe you don't like washing your hair every day. Oh, if you have long hair, maybe it's really annoying to wash your hair every day. I wash my hair every day. My hair's short. I don't need to blow dry it. It dries really quick. But maybe your hair's really long. Washing it every day might be annoying, right? So do I have to wash my hair every day? Actually, some people say you shouldn't wash your hair every day. I do, but maybe you shouldn't. So do I have to? Do I need to? Do I have to wash my hair every day? So do not say wash my head. In English, it sounds kind of funny. So we'd say wash my hair for this situation. If you want to wash this part, you say wash my face. So wash my face, wash my hair. But do not say wash my head. It sounds kind of funny. And a note also, when you're going to take a shower, always say take a shower. I've heard some students say, I need to wash my body. In English, that sounds kind of strange and kind of funny. So make sure if you're washing your body, don't say wash my body, say take a shower or take a bath, okay? So a couple more notes about this one. Do I have to wash my hair every day? Now, most people got this almost 100% correct, but one tricky thing was every day. Every day here should be 2 words. Do I have to wash my hair every day? Now, a lot of you used every day as 1 word. Now, be careful. Every day together as 1 word is an adjective, meaning something you do every day. Like the sun rising is an everyday occurrence. So occurrence is something that happens. And if I describe that, I'd say everyday occurrence. Okay? Or I brush my teeth every day. That would be 2 words. But brushing my teeth is an everyday habit. So it's a habit. What kind of habit? It's an everyday habit. But if we're talking about something you do every day, it has to be 2 words, okay? So be careful. So do I have to wash my hair every day? Okay? Some people also wrote, must I? Must I wash my hair every day? This is correct. The grammar is correct, but it sounds more serious and it sounds more formal. So must I sounds a bit formal. In spoken casual English, we'd say, do I have to? Okay? So in this sentence, the Chinese suggests that you're wondering, do I need to do this? So that's why I use do I have to. Some people wrote, should I? Should I wash my hair every day? This is a correct sentence, but the translation is a little bit different. The meaning is a little bit different. Do I have to? Sounds like maybe it's annoying. Should I? You're asking for advice, okay? Next up is similar issues like the last sentence. You'll see what I mean. 你不需要每天都这么努力工作. Okay? I translate this to, you don't have to work so hard every day. You don't have to work so hard every day. So, you don't have to work so hard every day. So, work so hard. the words kind of flow together. You don't have to work so hard every day. Okay? And every day. Say it strong like that. And maybe you know what I'm going to say. Every day needs to be 2 words, right? Every day. Every day together is an adjective describing a thing, okay? Or something you do. It's an everyday action, everyday habit, okay? Now, this sentence, you could also say you don't need to work so hard every day. That's perfectly fine. But as we say, we're trying to use the words we learned in the lesson, so you don't have to. So have to and need to are the same meaning, okay? Now, I use work so hard. You don't have to work so hard every day. Work so hard suggests the person is working really, really hard. They're working too hard. A few people wrote, you don't have to work hard every day. If you say work hard, that means you don't have to work hard at all. You can just relax. But that's not true, right? You don't have to work so hard, suggesting you don't need to work too hard, okay? And remember, it should be work so hard. Hard comes after work. Work hard. I saw a few people say hard work, but hard work would be if work is a noun. You're describing what kind of work it is. Oh, doing my project is hard work, okay? But if you're doing work, you're working, you'd say, I'm working hard, or you don't have to work so hard. The hard goes after. So it's a little bit tricky, right? If work is a noun, hard goes first, hard work. If work is a verb, hard goes after, work hard, okay? Next up is 你应该偶尔什么都不做，放松一下. Okay, now hopefully you know what I'm going to say. The first thing you need to think is, oh, these are 2 ideas, right? So maybe I should make it into 2 sentences, okay? So there are 2 ways to translate this. If you want it to be 1 sentence, you need a conjunction, a connecting word like and. So with the word and, you can say, you should do absolutely nothing once in a while and relax a bit. You could also say, you should do absolutely nothing once in a while. Relax a bit. So the second part is telling someone what to do. So if you want it to be 1 word, you need that word and, okay? If you don't use the word and, you need a period to make it 2 sentences. A lot of you use the comma just like in the Chinese. A comma in Chinese is often a period in English, so be careful. Okay. I'd say relax a bit. I'm telling you what to do, so I just say relax a bit. Relax a little, okay? You could also say chill out. Chill out is fine. And I said do absolutely nothing once in a while. I use absolutely to make it stronger. You don't need absolutely. Absolutely just makes nothing stronger. Absolutely nothing. Completely nothing. Just sit there. Do absolutely nothing, okay? I also saw some people say, hang out sometimes, just do nothing. That's okay. The meaning is a little bit different. Hang out means you're sitting at home. Relax could be anywhere, actually, right? So the meaning is slightly different. Hang out and relax. Hang out is focused on what you're doing. Relax is kind of focused on your feeling, okay? I use the word once in a while. So once in a while means a while, you're working hard, and then once in a while, meaning sometimes. So you could also use the words sometimes. Or someone use occasionally. Occasionally is okay too. You have to occasionally do nothing. It sounds a little more formal, so maybe you could say once in a while or sometimes. Okay? I also saw someone write, take it easy. Take it easy is fine too. Relax and take it easy are the same. Okay. So remember, this is a suggestion of what you should do. So you should do nothing. Okay? Someone wrote, shouldn't do something, or you shouldn't do something. But that's the opposite meaning. We want should do nothing, okay? You should just relax, do nothing. You're giving someone advice. Don't work so hard all the time, okay? Okay. Let's see. Let's move on straight into the next one, okay? So this is our conversation, the date. And we learned some fun idioms. A fun one to learn is when in Rome. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you're in a situation, making pizza, when in Rome. You're enjoying the situation, okay? You don't have to be in Rome, right? Okay. So pizza making class would be a great date idea. You should try it someday. Okay, our first sentence was 约会的时候你这样做一定会大加分. So if you're acting like this, okay, so you're doing something really good. So I would translate this with the word act. I would say, if you act like this on a date, you'll definitely score big points, okay? So I use the word act because you're talking to someone about what they're doing or the way they're talking, and they're doing something great. You say, if you act like this on a date, you'll definitely score big points. So acting that way, the way they're talking, the way they're moving, whatever. So that's if someone's doing something, right? If they do one specific thing, you could say, if you do this on a date, you'll definitely score big points, okay? So act like this is talking about the way they're talking or acting. Do would be they're doing something. So if you do this on a date, you'll definitely score big points, okay? So we're talking about the future, right? If you act like this on a date, you will score big points. I saw a few people say you must score big points. It would be better to say you will. We'd say if something, then you will. You must is like, I think it will happen, but here I'm guaranteeing it will happen. So must sounds like you're not 100% sure. You must score points, but you will score points is a little bit more sure. It's 100%. You definitely will. Okay? I translate this with if you act like this on a date. So we want to use if here. If you do this, then this. I saw a few people say you have to act like this on a date, or you should act like this on a date, or you should do this on a date. Those are okay. You have to do this on a date, or you should do this on a date, but the meaning is different. You're suggesting they try it, okay? If we're talking about if you do this, then what will happen, okay? Also, if you do this. So don't say do like this or do it like this. We're talking about the thing they're doing, the action. So do this thing, okay? You don't want to put do like together, do like this. That's if you're maybe showing someone how to do something. Oh, do it like this. But here, you're talking about what they're doing already. So do this. If you do this, you'll score big points, okay? And we're talking in general. So I said a date, because I don't know if you have a date. But if I do know you have a date, I could say the date, like the date you're going on tonight, okay? If we're talking about a date already, okay? I also saw someone say, this will make a good impression. So make a good impression is a good phrase to use here. This means similar to score big points. You'll make a good impression, okay? You could also say you'll leave a good impression. Give someone good feelings, right? Okay. Next up is 你来台湾一定要吃臭豆腐，入境随俗哦。入境随俗吗? So this is a pretty common phrase that you might tell a friend if they're visiting Taiwan, right? So remember, they're coming to Taiwan, but we're still going to mention Rome, okay? So I would translate this as, when you come to Taiwan, you've got to eat stinky tofu. When in Rome, okay? So you could also say, when you come to Taiwan, you have to eat stinky tofu. When in Rome, or when you come to Taiwan, you must try stinky tofu. Okay? Now, the difference is you've got to and you have to. These are, I think, the best answers for this. You have to eat stinky tofu, or you have to try stinky tofu. Both are okay. Or you've got to eat stinky tofu. These two means I'm suggesting it. I think you should try it. It's a good idea to try it. And it's stronger than should. You have to try it. But if you really, really, really want to make it super strong, you can say must. You must try stinky tofu. If you leave Taiwan without trying stinky tofu, you went crazy. You messed up. So if you want to make it really strong, you could say you must try stinky tofu. But generally, I would say have to. You have to try stinky tofu, or you have to eat stinky tofu. Okay? Now, be careful. When in Rome is a set phrase. You'd say, when in Rome, and put an exclamation point on there. And the exclamation point shows that you're having some fun, okay? A few people said, when in Rome, you've got to eat stinky tofu, or something like that. Be careful. If you say when in Rome, comma, that means when you are actually in the city Rome. So be careful. When in Rome should go at the end and be a short phrase by itself and be said with an exclamation point. Yeah, when in Rome. Okay? But if you say when in Rome, you must blah, blah, blah. That means actually in Rome. Like when in Rome, you must try some espresso or something like that. Or when in Rome, you have to go to a cafe. But if we're talking about a different place and we say when in Rome, just say it like that. Keep it separate from the rest of the sentence, okay? And then one student said, when you come to Taiwan, you've got to eat stinky tofu. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Now, this is the whole idiom, the whole thing. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. This is correct, but when speaking, people will usually shorten it just to the beginning part and just say, when in Rome. It's kind of like 成语 in Chinese. It's taking a long story and shortening it. So for idioms, usually there's a long idiom and we shorten it to just the beginning part. When in Rome, do as the Romans do becomes when in Rome, or another one might be speak of the devil and he will come. And people don't say that. People just say, oh, speak of the devil. Speak of the devil is a phrase that you'd say when you were talking about someone and then they show up surprisingly. And you go, oh, speak of the devil. Kind of like in Chinese, it's 说曹操,曹操到, right? In English, we'd say, speak of the devil. So, but that's the shortened version, right? Someone also changed the phrase. So I would say you need to say, when in Rome. One person changed it and said, when in Taiwan, do as the Taiwanese do. I like it, but it's not a standard phrase. You can say this, that would be fine. When in Taiwan, do as the Taiwanese do. But if we want to use our idiom, it would be when in Rome, even though we're talking about Taiwan. Okay? So one more thing is stinky tofu. Remember, it's T-O-F-U in English. Tofu. T-T-T. Don't say doufu. In Chinese, doufu. But in English, tofu. Tofu. Okay? I also saw someone wrote stinky tofu with a capital S, capital T. We don't need capital S, capital T. We can use small letters because this is a common noun. Capital letters are for the name of someone or a place. Okay? You don't need capital S, capital T. I also saw someone say stinky tutu. Be careful. Check your spelling. It should be tofu. Tutu is what a ballerina wears. It's a puffy kind of dress. Okay? So don't eat stinky tutu. Eat stinky tofu. Okay? So this would be a phrase you can say to a friend visiting Taiwan. And last but not least, we have something that I probably will often say. For me, I don't really like stinky tofu. Sorry, I've tried it a few times, but I just can't handle it. It's not for me. Ugh. Maybe you love it, but the smell, I don't like it, and I don't really like the taste. Ugh, it bothers me too much, okay? This question that I might say is, 我一定要吃臭豆腐吗? Do I have to? So I would translate this as, do I have to eat stinky tofu? So if you're going to the night market, if we're going to the night market together and you say, oh, you have to try the stinky tofu, I'd say, do I have to eat stinky tofu? Do I need to? Right? Or you could also say, must I try the stinky tofu? Or must I eat stinky tofu? Must I sounds a little bit more formal, a little bit more serious. But generally conversation, we would say, do I have to? Or do I need to? You could also make it stronger by adding the word really. Someone said, do I really have to try stinky tofu? That works too, okay? So the Chinese phrase 一定要 can just be have to, right? I need to. 一定要 could be like definitely need to, or I really have to. But in English, we don't need the word really. You could just say have to. Do I have to eat stinky tofu? So, and as I said, you can also use try. Eat and try are both okay. So the meaning is slightly different, right? Try would mean that maybe you've never tried it before. So do I have to try stinky tofu? I don't even want to try it. It's too scary. But maybe I've tried it a few times before. This is my situation, so I would say eat. Do I have to eat stinky tofu? Both are okay. Do I have to try it? Do I have to eat it? Okay? So, and again, tofu. Remember that T sound in English, tofu. So, yes, I think the word came from Chinese and went into English, but it changed over time and went from doufu to tofu. So, it's a little interesting, tricky thing. There are a few words like that that went from Chinese to English and we changed the sound. I mean, it goes the opposite way, right? There's some words that went from English into Chinese and you change the sound for those too, right? So you got to be careful. If you say tofu to someone in America, they might get confused. What is tofu? Oh, tofu. So be careful, tofu. That small sound change will make it a little bit hard to understand if you say it with a D sound, okay? So that's it for all of our sentences from our lesson. So maybe you can try to use some of these phrases if you go out on a date. So let's see if there are any questions before we sign off. Okay, so one question from Bruce is there any differences between where was the recipe and where is the recipe in this lesson? So you say, oh, where was that recipe? Or where is that recipe? Actually, both of these are okay. So where is that recipe? That's fine. So that would mean where is it right now? Okay? Where was it? We use that. I wrote this in the lesson with where was that recipe. In conversation, someone might say, where was that recipe? We'd say was because we're focused on before I had it. Where was that recipe? I had it, but I put it somewhere. I'm not sure where it went. So where was that? We're focusing on the past. It was in my hand, and now it's missing. If you want to focus on now, you'd say, where is that recipe? Both of them are the same meaning, right? But it's the focus. So a lot of times when we're speaking, we can use different tenses. In the next lesson in the future, you're going to learn about the present perfect tense. And so we're going to learn about the past tense versus present perfect. Sometimes they're almost the same meaning, but the focus is different. What are you focused on when you're speaking? So very good question about where was the recipe or where is the recipe. The meaning is the same. Both are okay. But the focus is, where was it? We had it before, but now it's gone. Where is the recipe? Where is it right now? What is its location? Okay? So let's see. Any more questions before we go? Oh, Bella just finished her homework and came in right as we're saying goodbye. So good job on the homework. Sorry that I didn't see your homework yet, but I'll take a look and maybe leave you a comment later or maybe tomorrow, okay? So welcome to the chat. You can always rewind and go to the beginning if you want to watch from the beginning, okay? So we're pretty much out of time for today. So thank you for everyone joining, all 17 of you here live for the whole thing. Thanks a lot. So everyone did an excellent job. We didn't have as many tricky problems. Some of these were easier to correct or easier to translate, and you guys did a great job. You have a great grasp on have to, have got to. Excellent job. And so get out there, practice your conversation skills, practice the idioms we've learned, right? And there are a lot of fun idioms to use in this conversation. And remember, idioms are used day to day. People use them all the time, right? It's not just like something you study to feel like you're studying. People will actually use idioms when they're speaking all the time, okay? So they're really useful to know, and I'll try to teach you some more. So before we sign off, just a reminder, I will stick around for a few minutes. And so if anyone has some free time and would like to chat with me after the stream, send a message to Kyle Moai. I think you probably have added Kyle Moai as a friend. If you haven't, do that now and send me a message. If I don't get any messages, I'll text a couple people and reach out to you, okay? So send me a text if you'd like to chat, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Thanks for joining, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Good night.